Welcome to the Couchcasters podcast, Tuesday night, December the 5th, 2023. 2023 SEC champs coming your way. Roll Tide, gentlemen.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Yeah.
Intro almost put me to sleep. A long intro.
Hey, that song gets going, man, and get into it. Yeah, that's one of the longer ones. That's one of the longer ones.
A little long.
So here we are. The playoffs are here. The matchups are set. I was wrong. I didn't think there's any way we were getting in, especially if both Florida State and Texas won. I didn't think there was any chance in hell we were getting in. And I told everybody that I could. My mom asked me several times. I told her, explained why. In the group text, I was very much, we were out.
I'm glad you're opening up with this, Jeff. Because I swear to God, I could not even enjoy winning an SEC championship without you two bozos acting all doom and gloom in the group chat.
That's why I didn't say a word.
Hey, that's what I do, though, man. I got to vent during the game. I got to vent somehow.
I'm in the heat of it all, watching all these freaking Dogs fans get the bark get whipped out of them, and I can't even enjoy it.
Am I, just for reference, are you referring to me as one of the bozos? I just want to make sure.
Yes, you bozo.
Hey, that's how I've been during games.
Wanted to confirm.
Yeah, I can't yell and cuss at the TV if I'm watching it with my folks. So, that's how I get. That's how I vent sometimes.
Yeah, it didn't help that Cam was chiming in with it too. It's like, gosh, can we enjoy this for at least one night?
Well,
yeah. During games, you might as well just put your phone on silent because sometimes I can't help it. If something's egregious and I got to get it off my chest, usually I grab the phone and I'll throw it down in the chat because then I can throw the phone down.
It's free therapy.
That's
all it is.
That's how
it is free therapy.
I don't tweet during games. Unfortunately, you guys are you guys get you guys are there. You guys get it.
Hey,
so.
I'll adamantly say that yes, I was thoroughly involved. I was just prying at Hunter right there. No, I know exactly. I very unfortunately, kind of like my dad in a lot of ways, can be pessimistic into doom and gloom.
Oh, I can be. I can be.
Not gonna deny it. But I'll say this: I'll eat crow. I'm so happy. For this team, and I really feel like and y'all can go back and look at the text.
I mean, there's really no crow to eat. None of us picked them to lose, so there's really no crow to eat if we're being technical.
I know a couple people were feeling nervous, and I think y'all had said that too. I meant Jeff and Cameron more so, and I had said Thursday. No,
I was feeling good. Cameron was the one that was wound up. All the pressure on us. I was like, "Hey, man, we're playing with house money today. Like, we're the underdogs. We're the 8th seed. They're number 1. They haven't lost in 2 years. They got 30-game winning streak, all that stuff. I mean, we shouldn't even be here. We got a quarterback that got benched this year, and we hadn't be able to get off 8 and underdogs and all that stuff. I thought we were playing with house money. I didn't think there was any pressure on us.
To show you just how weird of a year this was, one of our quarterbacks is transferring to go play another sport. That's how weird this is.
This is definitely probably one of the craziest seasons.
I have never. Well, I always wondered, and if I wondered if I ever was going to see something. I said he was.
I mean, was he ever?
At some point in his career, I think he was. I don't know.
Hey, Parker, remember when you said we should play Buckner during the Texas game?
Wholeheartedly. I did say that. I did. And guess what? I'm glad we didn't.
I'm glad I didn't go in blind and did some research on him. Then I was very self-satisfied when
that was a good "I told you so" moment for Fonz there.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was a good. The
end of time, but
I told you so.
It's why they call him the Fonz, man. Why he knows what he's talking about.
That's right.
It's funny looking back on all that stuff, how the season played out, and how. I mean, none of us thought after Milroe got benched that it was all like by the end of this year he'd be the best player on the team almost.
Yeah,
or the most important player on the team, I should say. Maybe not the best, but the most important. Isaiah Bond is making a run for the best because that guy is clutch as it gets.
No kidding.
You know, I don't know what y'all are thinking. Maybe as far as stat wise, I was going to dive a little into that. I really only have a couple negative things to say. Other than that was probably the best all around game we've played as a team all season. Great. I still think we haven't hit our ceiling yet as far as playing a complete full game on all sides of the ball. I still think now Milroe has improved leaps and bounds all season. I still think there is improvement to be made in some of the inconsistencies in these throws. I saw some pretty bad ones. I saw some overthrows too, but for the most part, at least at this point, he's not forcing it. He's not going to make a mistake by not forcing it. I'm glad he's not throwing it into triple coverage anymore, just trying to trust in his arm. I've seen improvement there. I still need to see that consistency a little bit more in that aspect of it and to read a little bit more of what the defense has, because I know on that last drive when we scored that touchdown, all 4 of the last passes went to Bond, if I'm not mistaken. On one of them, had Jalen just got, stayed in there just a little bit longer before busting out and flipping it.
Uh-oh. Froze face.
Data Wi-Fi.
That was better than the last one, though, where you had like one eye shut.
Yeah.
On the contrary, I think Jalen Milroe has been incredible.
Yeah.
And I don't know how much we can really expect from him being a college quarterback.
Yeah.
A lot of those problems that were mentioned, every quarterback has trouble with at times. I think the past month and a half, he has kind of found some form of consistency. I know he started, 0-for-5, 0-for-6 Saturday, but once he kind of got into a groove and the run game got going a little bit, I thought he was really good. And that's no joke of a team. I mean, God, the offensive line, props to them too.
I know.
Yeah.
Around.
Just leaps and bounds. Like, shout out to them. I mean, not even Milroe. I mean, I was so bummed out by the O-line at the start of the season. It's like, I can't believe we didn't address anything from last season. And then here we are, and they finally stepped up to the plate. It was amazing to watch.
Yeah. I mean, the progression of Proctor has been the best to me, because I was on him early on because he was just
Same.
It was,
Same.
but it was like it was on him, but I also felt that he wasn't being put in the best position to succeed.
Agreed.
The scheme we were running, the plays we were running were putting him in a bad spot. But when the offense kind of shifted and Jalen started stepping up into the pocket, that shuffle or two, where then the edge rusher would have to go all the way around Proctor, who could continue to block him out.
The great thing about this game, Jeff, from what I've read, is Proctor really struggles with speed, and Georgia is more, they've got stronger guys, which he's better aligned for. He has really struggled with speed. And then obviously, that hopefully that kind of those kind of problems will decrease after this year. I think he'll drop. I think he still needs to drop about 30 pounds in that, and then he'll be. I think he was weighing 360, 350, something like that, about 6'7". What was it? Y'all?
He came in. He's like 6'7", 330 when he came in. We put 30 more pounds on him,
so he's up to 360. I think he needs
365.
Let's put him back to 330.
Dang, dude, 365.
I mean, that's a massive human being. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'll say that too. Proctor, he showed a lot more, and he, as I said, everybody improved. That's why I'm really and I'm glad to eat crow after all the negative stuff that I said all year, because this is probably the best turnaround team I've seen. I mean, as a whole, as a team, it's not just about an individual player, just something changing and everything changed. It was everybody. Now the defense is kind of what was advertised to everybody, It was much improved than last year. We saw that to begin with. Now, obviously, it took some time to get past some of those adjustments. After allowing Auburn just to run all over us, man, to put over 250 rushing yards on our defense, for us to go out and let Georgia only, let's see, as a total, Georgia only put up 78 total rushing yards. And I know that includes sacks in college football. If you take those out, it was maybe about 85 to 87 yards total rushing, which, I mean, that is absolutely fantastic. You eat that up all day. I know I touched on the Milroe stuff, the consistency part. Jace not playing, that sucked, but I thought we had enough people to, overcome all that. Roy Dell, he had 16 carries for 64 yards and a TD, and Jamarian Miller played really well as well. So
I thought Jam looked great.
I think him and Justice are going to be legit next year. It's going to be like,
reminds me of Saquon Barkley with the way he runs.
Yeah, that's good.
And then he finishes runs like Jacobs. He really reminds me of Josh Jacobs, the way he attacks defenders.
They didn't put up crazy stats Saturday, but one thing I noticed was they were always getting back to the line of scrimmage.
They were positive plays.
Picking up half a yard, it didn't stall our offense. They kept progressing down the field. They kept moving forward. They weren't messing with the flow of the game. Which is good. Even if it's a busted play, first and 10, you rush for half yard.
As long as we're not behind the sticks.
Let's go.
Yeah.
I feel like that was so detrimental.
Totally agree with that.
The whole point of the game, and it kept us, after Georgia scored that first touchdown, did y'all ever feel that Alabama was not in control of the game after that? We go and score a touchdown. It was like after that,
we controlled that entire game after that first drive.
The score was a lot closer than what it really was. I talked about the
game
mistakes.
Was not nearly that close.
We had at least, I know 3 for sure dropped interception, a possible 4th. He would have had to make a miraculous catch. That as a former high school defensive back, cornerback, that can't happen. You've got to have, if you get one of those, that's possibly another TD right there. That drove me nuts, and all of y'all heard it, y'all know. But yeah, you're a Division I college defense, cornerback, safety, got to make those catches.
They're not going to catch them all, but man, some of those are just like,
as I said,
another one.
Three of them were.
Somebody got to catch one of them, right?
The 4th one, I don't know if it was Kool-Aid or whoever it was. He had to go up, and he would have landed on his back. I've seen, the 2011, 2012 DBs. They made some. I remember Robert Lester making a fantastic interception as a free safety. Now, obviously, that's a name that goes back. You'd have to go back into the 2010s to go look that name up, because I don't really think he did anything in the NFL. But
he played for the Panthers for a handful of years.
Okay.
4 or 5 years, I think he played for the Panthers.
Oh, well, then he had a decent career then. Good.
Also, it did seem like Bowers and McConkey were still not 100%.
They weren't.
Yeah.
Well, Ladd obviously wasn't. You could tell.
Oh my God! Yeah, he was hobbling off the field.
Yeah,
Brock may not have been 100%, but he sure moved like it when he caught the ball in that opening drive. He was wide open.
Yeah.
A couple other plays, he was running pretty well. So I don't know how injured he was. I think Ladd was way worse off.
Yeah.
Well, and looking at it,
but I think the scheme was more the reason that Bowers was ineffective. I think when Saban made that change, he said that completely took Bowers out of the game, and
they started hitting him,
the pass rush really allowed us to do all that defensively. If we weren't getting any kind of nothing from those 4 up front, with their just pressure in the pocket, not getting sacked so much, is just pressures and just mixing stuff up. You know what I mean? Just causing discomfort back there, and it allowed us to take Bowers out of the game. And then the linebackers are just flying. Lawson was flying all over the place.
And that's the crazy thing too is y'all remember when we played them the last time in the SEC championship. Obviously, that's when we were at our 100% before Mechie went down back in 21. We had locked Bowers down as a freshman, and he's we already know he's better than he was then. Whatever that kind of play calling, as you said, the change in coverage or the way we were, the scheme we went to was detrimental. But yes, once you go in there and start, hitting them in the mouth, and it was a different game after that. That's for sure.
Well, the third down stops, we had stopped them several times on 3rd and short.
Took them 4 tries to get a touchdown
not just,
on the goal line.
Yeah, that too.
Very
but
telling. Very telling.
Not just like tackling them. I mean, we were busting them up for 1-2 yard losses. Like the plays were blown up before they even started on a good chunk of those. So I was very impressed with the third down defense because it's 3rd and 1 several times, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, and then they would just the defense was just relentless.
Yeah.
Gave up a few things, but Georgia is the number 1 team in the nation. Had won 30 straight, so I didn't expect a shutout.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that offense is good too.
I mean, they got good players.
Absolutely.
They're
I was worried earlier in the year,
but we had them Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, we had 3 drop picks, so we confused Beck enough that he almost threw 3 interceptions. I think he's got 6 all year, 7 all year.
Yeah,
he almost threw 3. Should have thrown 3, almost 4 yesterday. Not yesterday, but Saturday, because we were getting to him. We were disrupting the pocket. He wasn't liking the coverages we were in. We were flying all over the place. Speed was everywhere. I mean, he'd never faced that this year.
29. He was 21 for 29 for 243, no TD passes. But as you said, and I've stated,
he was clearly affected. He was clearly affected by
seeing his face.
Oh yeah, I thought I heard him mouth, "What
are we doing?
Is going, or what are we doing? What the hell is going on?" I can tell you what's going on. You're schemed up. Hey, they came to play, and they did.
Yeah, they just got beat up, man. They got beat.
And if you watch Georgia's previous games, what's the common denominator of what they struggled with? It's a mobile quarterback, and that's exactly what Merrill was able to bring to the table.
Boy, was he!
And I thought it came obviously, I'd say it really changed in the 4th quarter. I'm glad you brought that up, Hunter, because through 3 quarters, Milroe was still kind of that indecisiveness. I was kind of upset. I thought I had seen a little.
That first quarter, he had the jitters like crazy.
Yeah.
You could tell he was a little bit tight.
Yeah,
but I think that second possession of Georgia where we got a 3 and out and they punted it back to us from deep in. I think that's even though we went 3 and out on that second possession too. I think the defense holding for those 2 possessions kind of settled everything in. And then, once we got settled in, you could really, see a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he had the jitters at first.
But I'll say, I think it was on the last drive to seal the game. And we were all talking. We said, I know I said 2. A couple of y'all said just 1 touchdown should do it, or 1 first down should do it. And then he hikes the ball and he gets 12 yards on a rush. And I'm like, well, I wasn't expecting a first down that quick, but I'll take it. But no, that whole drive.
Then he goes 30 yards and slides to stay in bounds. Mm-hmm. That was sick.
And I was like, okay, well, there you go. So I'm very happy with it. But it's been kind of grinding my gears, guys.
What's grinding your gears?
It's. You know what? I just can't. I can't do it. Can't do it.
Anyway, so but we've been notoriously slow starters this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that, starting slow, usually the first few plays of the games are all scripted, and that's when we're most vulnerable. And that's when things tend to work. When you have to get into the flow of calling the game, then if you have to get then things start working, and then the defense, things really start changing once you have to get in the flow of the game and actually calling plays, how the game's going. So,
but like any good team, when one person hasn't reached that full potential yet, that's when the rest of the team comes in. And that's that first quarter. Yes, Miller was not 100%, but at least everybody else was at least able to get there. But I hear rumbling somewhere.
Oh boy, something's up.
We can see the Rock has already answered this time and time again.
What the hell is going on, man?
Here he is, the man, the myth, the legend, Maverick. What's on your mind tonight?
Well, a tied W, I tell you that, gentlemen. Nothing makes me happier than pissing everybody off as a Bama fan, or actually pissing off the entire country.
It's pretty easy to do if you're a Bama fan, that's for sure.
Now, I don't know if you guys have heard. There's been some people making some very outlandish statements, even to the point where our beloved head coach Nick Saban had his number leaked to the public. And he got many phone calls about how irate that Florida State did not make the playoff, and Alabama didn't deserve it. They didn't deserve it. There's been numerous commentators and analysts, so-called college football analysts out there, that say it's a sham. I got one for you, Danny Cannell. I know it was you. I know. You know it's a sham? You act like this has never happened before. Let's call the 1993 Florida State Seminoles on that one, huh? You win, you get to the championship game. Your only loss is to Notre Dame, who is ranked behind you, and an undefeated West Virginia team is left out of playing for the national title. And you heard about this? You were on that team, weren't you, Danny? I know. We know. Anybody can go Google it. Don't talk to me about a sham. This team, the FSU team, they were good, okay? But without Travis, they were going to get boat raced by anybody in this playoff. You know it. Hunter, I know you know it. Fonzie, I know you know it. Their defense was good, but, fact of the matter is this.
That's about it.
Comparable, their schedule and their season, it was like UCF 2017. And it's very, very comparable. And that was a good team. I'm not taking away that they're not deserving, but were they one of the four best? No. I honestly think Ohio State was better than them. I really do. And that's, their strength is
this year's Ohio State. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
This year's? Okay,
yes.
yeah.
Well, without Travis, they're not very much better than Troy without QB1.
I would take Troy right now over Florida State.
So
I would take that. I'll tell you that right now. And they say Louisville's the second best team in that conference. Give me a break. They didn't even have a pulse.
Man,
that game was the hardest
thing
to watch.
That was the worst football game I think I've watched in 10 years. It's like watching Iowa play.
These championship games are all bullcrap, except the SEC one, which are actually grind out games. But then you watch these other conference championship games, and they're all just slaughters. Michigan slept through that game and won 26-0. Iowa had what they have, Fonzie? Like 200 yards of offense that whole game.
They had 148 or something like that. Michigan only had like 210.
I was going to say, Michigan slept through that game. They ran every play backwards, all left-handed. It's
just the imbalance of that conference too. The Big Ten could have a great conference championship every year too, but look at the West and then look at the East in the Big Ten and then tell me how it's competitive.
Iowa was in the championship game. That tells you all you need to know. 3-loss Iowas hanging in the championship game.
Here's a good one for you. Do you know who the now all-time passing leader in the Big Ten is of all time?
Oh, I do.
His
brother plays quarterback for the Dolphins.
Did you know that, Hunter? That Talia Tagovailoa. That's for anybody out there. It blew my mind when I heard this weekend. That Talia Tagovailoa, former Alabama quarterback. If you don't know who his brother is, go look on Sundays. The guy's now the all-time passing leader in the Big Ten. This guy wasn't going to touch the field for us. Tell me.
They started 5-0 this year and they lost like 6 straight or something like that.
So, I mean,
they did.
They had a good start.
People want to talk about conference and they want to talk about SEC bias. Do you want to know why the CFP makes these kind of decisions? Maybe it's the one thing that everything's involved with, people. Let's not just be stupid to it. It's the almighty dollar. Everybody knows it. Everybody's been saying for years that the 4-team playoff format is flawed many ways. It's hard to have that system with 5 conference champions. If
I was
we
about
want
to
to
say
make
it's flawed out of the gate.
If we want to make
Power
it
5, 4 spots. So somebody was bound to get left out.
If it should have been this, if you want to make it a 4, then the two last remaining spots, it'd be 1, 2, 3, and then the 5 and 6 team should have played each other for a wild card game or something for that 4th spot. That would have made it a lot more interesting, I would have said.
What about the number 4 ranked team?
Well, see, that's the crazy
No matter how
thing.
much you move the goalposts, somebody's going to get screwed over.
Exactly.
Same thing with basketball.
That's all going away next year. The divisions are even going away next year. So the conference championship games will actually be the 2 best teams in the conference. It won't be this division sham that's been going on for 30 years. So all that, this is the last year of all that fluff. Like finally we're through all that crap. 12 teams is, granted,
I figured out what I was trying to make up on that last point. I'm sorry. So whoever the 4th and 5th ranked team were, whoever those conference champions were, if they were in fact the higher ranked team, they would play each other for the 4th spot. Sorry. But
that's what I was getting at.
Sorry. I was trying to get at it. I was like, oh yeah, that one didn't make sense much there at the end. But yeah, I was trying to remember where.
Set 1 and 2, and then 2, 3, 4, 5. 2, 3, 4, 5. Have to play each other for spots 3 and 4.
It's some crazy stuff. 4 was not a number that should have worked. It should have been maybe 8. 8 was the number you should have started with, and then you could have gone to 12. There would, but as Hunter said,
at least 5. You have a power 5.
As Hunter said, you're never going to be able to please everybody. Well, if it's 8, why is it not 9? If it's 9, why is it not 10? If it's 12,
it wasn't basketball. It was 60, and then they made it 64, and they made it 68, 66, whatever.
Now there's like a play-in tournament now, or like a play-in game now and stuff. They just keep stretching it out.
It's not even unique to football. It's like,
so 12 seems fine. I think it's maybe a little bit too much. They just need to do my idea of taking the top 32 Power 5 schools and forming their own league with basically a copy of the NFL.
So crazy news.
Looking that way.
Did you guys?
I would be okay with that.
Did you guys see an NCAA ruling today by chance? How irrelevant they may be, but there was actually a significant ruling today.
I saw the proposal.
Yeah, or that. I'm sorry, it was a proposal. That is correct, not a ruling.
That Florida State gets in?
Oh no!
It's coming. I mean, the federal government's getting involved.
So. I know. Take a look around, people. The federal government can't handle their own mess. They're going to suddenly intervene on the college football playoff selection.
As Reagan said, the worst things you can hear is I'm from the government and I'm here to help. You didn't want to hear that one. And Florida, you just need to. After you hear that one, you're like, all right, let's just back off on this one. But no, I agree. To anybody who hasn't read it yet, if you have, you can enlighten everybody on anything that I miss. And I'm going to really, really null it down. But from what my understanding was about compensation to an extent for the schools through their booster programs for the higher name schools. Fill me in? Is that something right? Is that what I'm hearing? It's like the ones who have that kind of background to fund it.
The proposal is that they have to fund, and it's Title IX inclusive, but you have to fund student athletes up to $30,000 or $30,000 in compensation annually.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it's basically trying to even the field. How I read it, at least, is even the field between sports. So you don't have a school like Alabama or Texas A&M even that taking all these resources and funneling it into 2 or 3 players through ad deals or whatever it may be. And it also protects the player because it ensures they actually get what they are promised. Because that's been another issue. A ton of guys have been going to these big programs. They never get a cent, So, I mean, we'll learn more, I'm sure. But it's the NCAA, so they might just roll on it overnight.
Like flip it. All right, that's the rule. Phew, I was hoping it wasn't heads or tails. Parker's muted.
That was short form, whatever you have, Parker.
Oh, sorry. I agree with all of that. I feel like they're only making that kind of ruling right now to stay relevant. Honestly,
it's not wrong.
They put themselves in this position. Okay. Players should have been. A scholarship is worth a lot. I get it. It is. But some kind of compensation should have been happening. And some players lost a lot, if not everything, because of one mistake. They lost all eligibility and stuff like that. Do I think it's that big? No. Now, if it was just something just absolutely crazy,
scholarships need to include like vehicle and stipends and stuff.
Exactly.
If that's going to be like, well, you got a full ride to college, but that doesn't mean you can eat if you don't have any money. You can't go into a restaurant to eat and say, well, I'm on a full ride, and they give you a meal. It doesn't work that way. You still have to have money to exchange for goods and services. And it's like, if scholarships need to include then a vehicle, it doesn't have to be like a pimped out Charger or nothing like that, but Scully's full rides should include a vehicle and some type of stipend so they can eat or buy things or do things. If their job is to be a student athlete, then it should include all that. They shouldn't have had to go these backdoor routes all these years, McDonald's bags with cash in them and all the Phil Fulmer stuff and whatnot. So, it's now that it's legal, these guys can make money like the schools have been doing off their name and image for years.
So
they got to put something in place.
I think there's still time. Now, it is the Wild West now. If you really want to reel it back in, I think it needs to go to maybe some kind of compensation to where there's a limit to where all players, this is what they can max at. So there's no unfair play and nobody who has any money, who has a bigger, fundraiser or boosters or anything like that. So they don't have an advantage to really make it fair. And still at that, it's still going to be an unlevel playing field because, compare the budget of Alabama to a budget of the Citadel or FIU, and it's still unfair. So I think the limit should probably be a lower number. I'm sorry, Scott, go ahead.
The biggest aspect of this is reorganization of these teams. That's why this is proposed. They want to create a new subdivision of these powerful economic sports machines like Alabama and make them their own thing. so they're competing amongst similar schools.
Agreed. And I think it would work.
It's turning football semi is what it's doing.
Parity in the NFL is what you're basically.
Yes. What you hinted at earlier is exactly what this is kind of stepping towards.
Not the wrong idea. It would eliminate all the group of fives and these UCFs and these lightweights. Like, that's enough.
And there's a certain amount of athletes that have to be covered under it. I can't remember the exact amount, but
yeah,
I don't know, 25% or half or something like that.
Maybe if it would all work out like it was, I think Scott or Hunter, I forgot who mentioned it. Maybe it could be like the relegation system, like in soccer. You know, if you start winning, multiple years in a row,
it'd be fascinating.
I think that would be absolutely fantastic. Then you would have, you could only make you could take the most pure. I'm sorry, this gets me emotional here now. Maverick gets emotional talking about this. You take the best sport ever created on God's green earth, and you make that product perfect, and that would be absolutely fantastic. I mean, there'd be teams like, Vanderbilt's. I mean, they're part of the SEC, but honestly, they're not one of the top 32 teams. Hell, I don't even think they're one of the top 50 teams. It's nothing against Vanderbilt.
Pull this up. Let's go through this.
There you go.
All right. So this is the final top 25 of the CFP rankings right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 3 of these 4 are in the big boy league. I think we know who wouldn't be if we're judging these top 4. So if you go down the list, Florida State would be in that league, right?
I would agree with that. Yes.
In that top, Georgia, obviously, Ohio State, obviously, Oregon, I'd say yes. Missouri, bye. Penn State, bye. Ole Miss.
I think Penn State would certainly be in it.
Yeah, Penn State.
I agree. Resources.
Oklahoma, LSU, yes. Arizona, no. Louisville, no. Notre Dame, obviously. Iowa, no. NC State, no. Oregon State, no. Oklahoma State, no. Tennessee, how rich are they?
They got plenty.
Rich enough
to be in that.
They got Peyton Manning enough to back it up.
Yeah.
I think another thing though to consider is, like I said, it's Title IX, so I don't even know if schools would accept this, because it's going to turn into, if you want to pay your incredible football team that just won the national championship, I don't know, $150,000 per athlete. Well, you got to turn around, and nothing against women's sports or field hockey, but you got to go pay the women's athletes on the field hockey team the same amount of money. At that point, you're operating your field hockey program at a massive loss.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're not bringing in a third of that.
Operating as a loss to begin with, So it's I'm afraid it's going to get really messy. I think the idea is great, which is rare for the NCAA. So credit to them, but I'm not saying they're wrong for making it Title IX. They have to, and they should, but there's going to need to be some sort of understanding between the schools before any of this begins to get hashed out.
It's going to be like a paper versus practice scenario.
Is there like a AAA they can try this out on for a season?
Experiment
with minor leaguers for a year.
I mean, I don't know, guys. It shocks me, and we're at the end of the season. We're past conference championship season, and college football never ceases to amaze me. It is so rapidly changing. I mean, I look back 10 years ago when all of this started. I mean, I think it would be the last year at the BCS, be 2013. So how far we've come and how much it has changed, and just how much is still left to change. I mean, I don't know. It just amazes me. I don't know. What about y'all? But it's just,
it's an ever-evolving product.
But I felt like I felt like from let's call it when did the BCS format come in? 1998, or was it?
Gosh,
Yeah, I think it was.
Is it that old?
Yeah, it was the Tennessee. Was that the first BCS?
Yeah, I think it was 98
season. The T. Martin Tennessee championship.
So, yeah, I think it was
Let's try to forget
1998.
that if I can.
And it stopped in 2013. So 2014 is when the playoff started.
Yeah.
And to think,
Ohio
that
State run was the first year of the playoff.
Okay. Yeah. And see, that was how to start it off. I mean, I was a senior in high school that year. Crazy enough. I mean,
let's see the bowl. Let's see. We got our bowl matchups here too.
oh yeah.
Let's
Good
check our
stuff.
bowl games here.
Who
Yeah,
was Hunter?
so Hunter will be back here. Okay, so we are Bama, Kansas State, or not Bama. Oh, that's last year's. Dang, never mind. That was a bummer. Damn, I worked hard to get that too. I just wasn't even paying attention to the year.
Well,
Oh well.
I mean, I know
There's some good bowl games. There's some good bowl games actually this year. There's actually some decent ones. The fact Georgia's a 2-touchdown favorite over Florida State, I think tells you all you need to know about why Florida State was not in the playoffs.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, that's going to leave a lot to interpret too. Is a lot of these games are going to look great on paper, but until we really know who's actually going to be playing or quote unquote opting out or opting in,
Yeah, Caleb Williams already.
Yes,
opted
he
out.
did. And
He should. He's the number one
he's
pick.
Dylan Gabriel. He's transferring. He's in the transfer portal, so he will not be playing
he's
for Oklahoma.
Oregon.
Yeah,
He's Oregon.
Yeah, going to Oregon. I mean,
it's not a bad move for Oregon. That dude can play.
Yep, I think they pick up right where they left off. I mean, they'll be fine.
Auburn's going to get one of these guys in the portal.
Oh yes, it's coming.
I mean, they have to, but I don't know if it's going to be. My buddy told me if it was KJ Jefferson, he wasn't going to watch a single game this year.
It's like TJ Finley all over again.
Yes. Golly, that guy was awful. My buddy Mike at work was doing backflips when he transferred, when he portaled. He was doing backflips.
Wasn't wrong.
That my LSU friend, when he portaled out of LSU, he was doing backflips. He was so happy. That guy was awful.
He's at Texas State.
Yes, he's at Texas State.
So I think he's at an appropriate level now.
I bet he is. I bet he is putting up numbers. The guy's 6'6". The tallest player they're playing against is a defensive lineman who's probably 6'4", weighs a 245.
Thanks for the like, Heather. Appreciate it, Heather.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
yeah. Do they have a big Samoan lineman on their team too?
I'm sure they do.
Y'all never seen that movie? Get there.
Washington did the other night. My God, they couldn't after the second quarter.
That was a crazy game, that Washington-Oregon game. That was
I will say, for the last, they were probably the second best conference game to watch. All the others were just
absolutely. All the rest of them were trash. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh God, that and I was really pulling for Oklahoma State, but
man, Oklahoma State lost to South Alabama by like 4 touchdowns.
I feel like Louisville was going out of its way to lose the game.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It was so bad. I was like, how'd this team win 10 games? This quarterback is like Buckner level for Louisville. I mean, he was so awful. I was like, either Fix was in, or this couldn't have been their starter, or something. There's no way he was their all-year starter. I was telling myself, like, he can't have gone this bad in a week.
Well, it just shows how bad that conference is. They talk about how strong the ACC is, which we already know that's not true. They lost to Kentucky the week before.
Danny's the only one thinks that.
They lost to Kentucky. May have actually done us a bit of a favor by upsetting Louisville.
They did.
Otherwise, they would have looked. By the time they got to FSU and got upset,
for the 7th to 8th best team in our conference to beat their second best team. I'm sorry. y'all did the ACC. If you really, really want to be mad, Florida State, you really need to be mad at your commissioner, who didn't even he voted against expansion of the playoff and to go in effect this year. I think the idea was maybe they could have gone to an 8 and then to the 12, but there's that. And then, but you dug yourselves in a hole when you did the agreement with the ESPN thing, and you're stuck till 2035. Clap,
yeah, my buddy told me last night that Florida State would lose like $1.5 billion if they bumped out of the ACC right now. And I said, man, that sucks that you guys got to sit there and watch Missouri, Texas, Oklahoma all join the SEC and start making money and respect and whatever. And you guys are sitting out here with Clemson and a bunch of you're stuck.
But I feel like out of all the conversations, people have had about FSU, that's the most interesting piece. Is that FSU and Clemson have already made no bones that they don't like their conference. They don't want to be there. I think even like FSU said in some sports boosters event that kind of rubbed some people the wrong way. It's like, we're better than everybody else. We shouldn't be in this conference.
Right.
That, we have now seen the death of the Pac-12, RIP. Is the ACC the next one on the chopping block?
Well, see, that's a good question, Hunter. Like, what happens if they are the next one? Does that mean that the contract with ESPN becomes null and void if their conference dissolves? That's an interesting take.
Their baseball and their basketball is still very good.
Yeah, I get that.
It's not the main moneymaker, but UNC, Duke, two biggest brands in basketball. I really don't think the ACC will go under. Pac-12 had a lot of other issues.
Yeah, I get that.
And the biggest issue was every single school wanted to get out of there because of the TV deal. The ACC has stability there. They're just not keeping up with the quality of football in particular of the other conferences. So,
and I wonder, my thought was, is that enough to, speed up the death process essentially? Or is, the other aspects of the ACC enough to kind of sustain them?
We'll find out, I'm sure.
I'm trying to get where we can see this thing here.
Let me break out my glasses.
There, that's as big as I can get it. Can we see that?
No.
Not at all?
No.
Can't see it.
I'm pretty blind.
Yeah, that's tough to see. Well,
Hunter, go get your glasses. Go
that's
get
a
your
letdown.
glasses.
My bad. That's a letdown. I tried.
No, there's some good games. I know nobody really cares about bowl season anymore. It's just become a matter of fact. So,
I do want to ask. There's another good point. There's so many variables that I feel like went into the committee's decision. Some of the, maybe conspiracy theories. Some of them might be, truthful, but they'll just never admit. Do you think that maybe, just maybe, they saw the TCU game and decided we cannot have that happen twice in a row?
Absolutely. No doubt.
Lesson learned.
That and probably
Although Georgia was going to boat race about anybody they played last year.
Yes.
Being honest.
Yes.
I mean, what was the final of the Michigan game? When they beat Michigan, or
they beat him by a good bit, didn't they?
Who did Georgia beat in the semifinals?
Yeah.
Oh, Georgia beat Ohio State, and Ohio State
lost by a point, right?
They missed the field goal as time expired, right at midnight. So that was the whole meme, was the ball was dropping, and then it switched to the Ohio State kicker kicking the ball into left field. But I don't know. I think there's lessons learned from last year, certainly, with how the TCU national championship went. And I said this earlier in the group message, they did get it right. Based on the facts and the criteria they always discuss, they got it right. Based on that, I'm not saying they put the true best 4 teams in It's never the best 4 teams. It's a combination of everything. It's the best 4 teams that meet all our criteria. Alabama didn't do that last year, unfortunately.
Oh, I agree. I didn't think they were one of the best 4 teams last year. They didn't deserve to be in it.
You know, on paper, I'd put them toe-to-toe with anyone last year. They had their issues, but I would. I mean, TCU earned it. This year, 8 teams did. So, tough luck for Florida State. I genuinely do feel bad for the athletes. Like,
I do.
That's
Agreed.
awful. They've done everything they've needed to do all year, and they came up short because, I don't know, 16 old white dudes in a boardroom in Dallas, Texas decided that they didn't earn it. But
the system got them this year.
Yeah, for the quality of the college football playoff, I think it was necessary to have a serious talk about keeping them out, which they obviously did.
They had to without the quarterback. Like that, nobody was going to want to see Michigan smoke them or whoever they were going to play with their backup quarterback in. That is not.
And that clause in there
not
too.
Okay.
It's in the bylaws of that. The clause, everybody's seen it about how
sucks.
if a player, it's going to affect it. It was. I mean, I'm sorry. Florida State.
It sucks for Jordan Travis, who's having a great year.
I mean, that's the thing too. Like the injury, it sucks. It's horrible, horrific.
It sucks for that team.
I mean, it does. But think about this. And how many close games they had this year? How many times did he have to save Florida State by making a fantastic play?
No clue. Didn't watch 1 minute.
There was go back and look at a couple of their scores. It was some of them were very, very close, and they had a late play had to happen. If he had not been the quarterback, and this is how important he was, how many wins would they have this year?
I lied. Honestly, I did watch the LSU Florida State game. Sorry. After that, I didn't watch any of it.
They struggle with Boston College. That granted, they always do.
I mean, who wants to watch them play a bunch of ACC teams? That's boring. I mean, that's not very fun.
Yeah.
Had Clemson actually, showed up for theirs, they probably would have beaten Florida State. But they just
what they finish 8-4.
Yeah.
I mean, they did show up too. They were toe and toe with that team. They had a chance to win it in the end. Their kicker they called from Wall Street missed like a 28-yard field goal with seconds left in the game. That's the only reason FSU won.
All love to Will Too Real, our kicker, but kickers are the worst.
They can be.
Punting needs to be a part of the game, but field goal kicking is just. I'm not a fan.
Someone I know close.
Many things are decided off the foot of a non-football player.
There you go. Oh my gosh. It's literally like I'm speaking to this person. Someone made a comment to me and said that the kicking position is a farce and needs to be taken out of the game because why should a game be decided by a bunch of athletic people? Why should the game be decided by some non-athletic person? And I'm sorry to the people out there.
They're not football players.
There you go. And I was like, I never thought about that. But good Lord.
It's a gimmicky play, but with non-football players. So it's like, where did this come from?
So that's a good one for debate. If you had to replace the kicking position, how would you do it?
Can you imagine football without field goal kicking? Like there were no goalposts in each end. It just seemed like something was missing.
It'd be rugby.
But you got to keep punters. Yeah, you got to keep punters. Those are critical. Punters are critical, but field goal kickers, man, you just got to go for it every time. There's no kicking. You just either you get it or you don't.
What would the world be like without Will Record?
You know what? It'd be a lot.
It'd be a worse place.
Hey, it'd be a lot less peaceful without Will Too Real.
Will Too Real is legit. Shout out to the unofficial UA assistant coaches, but yeah. Although he's like 3 for his last 6 kicking field goals or something like that, or 4 for his last 7 or something. So,
he's had a lot shake that off. Guys. He's had a lot on his mind. He did get engaged. So,
no, he got married. He's married.
Married.
He's been married.
Sorry.
Let's say he's been married. Look at his Instagram. It goes back several years. He's got like these wedding pictures. And I'm like, I forgot the guy's like 34.
Yeah. Has 2 kids. Works all week. Shows up Saturday.
He's like,
Kicks, goes back to work. He probably had to work Saturday night after the game. He'd come back and make a few calls.
He had to go meet up with Stetson Bennett at the office.
I don't know if you want to be in Stetson Bennett's office right now. I mean, he's in an institution somewhere. But
I mean,
I hope he gets better.
Him and Trey Mason are somewhere. Yeah, poor bastard.
Wait, oh God, oh man.
Yeah, so it's like, I don't know. If anything, Texas should be sending us thank you baskets, because without us pushing them up to 3, I don't think they're one of the 4 best teams, honestly, but because they beat us, we were going to push them up to wherever ranking they rose to. If they got to 4, it was going to be because we got to 5. If they got to 3, it's because we got to 4. If they got to 2, it's going to be because we got to 3. I mean, we just pushed them up wherever they landed.
Isn't that crazy to think about?
I don't think they can beat Georgia, but anyway. What's that, Hunter? Sorry.
I just thought, isn't that just like a crazy concept? You take, Alabama out of the equation. Just the fact that all you had to do was just beat one team and just hang your hat on that and just go in cruise control. And as long as that team makes an upset, you're good. That was it.
I mean, it was just like, I know head-to-head has to mean something.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's got to mean something, but it's like, I mean, I don't know. Thought we played
I think it's lining back up. I think it's lining back up for a rematch. I really do think. I think we beat Michigan by 2 touchdowns. I think that we can definitely have that.
Michigan
ability.
Was not happy when then we got the 4 spot.
No.
Yeah,
no, they definitely wanted to play Florida State, and I get it.
I thought they were going to get backup for Florida State in their opening game, and they got Bama instead. And they're all just like, you could just feel the air deflate out of the room.
Just sucked out of the room. But you can also tell that somebody remembered that there was cameras on them, so they started clapping.
They're like, yay.
Oh, gotta play Bama. Well,
so
I don't know.
Maybe they get us this year. Who knows? But hopefully not. And we've skull drug them last 2 times we played them. Unless I'm missing something.
I don't think I could live if Khaki Pants and America.
Well, the one was Brady Hoke.
So.
Did y'all see the Mizzou's coach interview? Where he's like, "All right, guys, this has been fun, but I got Connor Stallions calling me. I better take this."
Yes. He said that. He said it was hilarious. That was hilarious.
Savage, man.
Oh yeah, because they're playing Ohio State. That's right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Drinkwitz, how is Missouri ranked ahead of Ole Miss?
Played Georgia really close.
They did. Credit to Mizzou.
I mean, honestly, Ole Miss kind of, I don't want to say faltered, but their offense, once they got into conference play, wasn't exactly what it was or what we thought.
I think the way
at the beginning.
I think the way they lost to Georgia was just a really bad look.
Deflating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. But
at least they got over the LSU hump.
Didn't Missouri get busted up by? I mean, what was the Missouri-Georgia score?
30-21.
Okay. Yeah, not by much.
I actually think this playoff has potential to be very good, though. I like the first round a lot. Michigan and Alabama is just meat on meat. It's going to be physical.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And on the other side, you got Washington and Texas. High-flying offenses.
Yeah, scheming.
I think Texas will probably out-physical them, but, Washington can score points. Their passing game's pretty dang good. So will it be enough? I don't know. I think it's exciting. I think it's a good 4.
I mean, Penix is a good watch. I mean, it was fun watching that Washington-Oregon game. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I don't have a lot of respect for either of those teams, the road they took to get there. I mean, I think Washington beat Oregon twice and Utah once. I think that was about their only 3 real wins you can even remember. Oregon lost to Washington twice and beat Colorado. I think that was their most impressive win.
Just about.
Yeah.
So I think both those teams would get whipped by Georgia and Alabama. I mean, if we're being honest, I think Georgia whipped Tennessee, whipped Texas, Washington. Not whip them, but I think Georgia would beat everybody in the Final Four, really, including us. If we played them again, they're a good shot they could beat us.
So it's so crazy that they're 6.
But the fact that the committee thought there were 5 better teams than Georgia, it blows my mind.
I understand how it got there, but it's just still crazy.
Yeah, I'm with you, Hunter. I get how they got there, but the fact that you sit back and go, they think 5 teams are better than Georgia.
Yeah.
What's the guy's name? Like Booger Smith or something?
Booger McFarland.
His fingers all going like 10 different.
No, I'm talking about the Boo Radley or Boofy.
Boo Radley is
from Oregon.
Boo Radley is from To Kill a Mockingbird, if something like that.
What's his name?
Isn't that right?
Boof Bonzer, isn't that his name or something?
Corrigan.
Whatever Corrigan, that's it. He actually went on TV and showed his face and said there were 5 better, or let him put 5 better teams better than Georgia. You're just like, I don't think so, but okay. But it's all right. Like next year, if this happened, we were going to be playing Georgia again, I think, at some point in the playoffs.
Yeah,
probably.
Well, hold on.
So are they going to? So can we get rid of the SEC title game then, so we don't have to go through like 3 rounds of playoffs?
Here's the thing, though. We play Georgia regular season next year.
We're going to play them 3 times next year.
If that we beat them twice, if we'd had,
we're going to play them in the regular season. We'll play them in the SEC championship game because I believe it'll be us 2 at top next year. Just because I'm a homer, so I'm just going. Of course, I'm going to think Bama's going to be in it, and then we're going to face them again in the playoffs if whatever the outcome of that game is next year. But both teams will be in the playoffs, and we'll have to face them again in the playoffs, I think.
Isn't that the case? I mean, that's how it's the best teams, right? I mean, who cares? At the end of the day, that's what we've won.
And that's like the NFL. The NFL, teams play each other 3 times all the time. I mean, Steelers, Ravens.
Exactly.
If both teams go to the playoffs, are guaranteed to match 3 times in a year.
I mean, like we're talking like it now. It's like a bad thing to play. Oh, we got to play Georgia again. That's where we've been leading to this. You stated it. You stated it best. The ever-changing landscape of college football, going to what it is to more of a semi-professional, look to it. And I think
that's what they are. They're semi-pros.
So I think we hit the nail on the coffin on all points tonight, as far as how we feel on all the topics. Really, I really do.
I'm excited about really, like you said, finals of playoff matchups, but I'm excited about some of these other bowl games too. I'm really excited about that Georgia Florida State game, even though Florida State's going to have their backup. But I really want Georgia to run them out so we can be like, can we put this to bed, please? I mean, they're so mad at us. I'm like, be mad at Washington, Texas.
If FSU does somehow upset Georgia, okay, maybe you did have an argument, but it's just how it played out.
That's how it played out. You're right.
And I don't think this is the end of FSU. It's like I think they'll be back next year.
No, this is the only year they'll be left out in the foreseeable future. I think Norvell's got them on the right track.
We'll say. I lived in Tallahassee for 2.5 years. When I was there, like FSU is awful. It was bad. And what Norvell has been able to do with that program is pretty incredible to watch.
It's crazy to think that people are wanting to fire him for. I
remember there was talks that we should go after Dion. Dion should be the coach over Norvell. It's just
I think they would have had Dion been 3 years earlier.
Yeah.
Had he hit Jack State that 3 years earlier, and then when Norvell got the job, had Dion had 3 years at Jack State by then, I think that would have been the hire.
Yeah.
But I have nothing to base that off of. But I just think that that would have been their hire. And then, but Norvell's having success, and he's got them like.
Yeah, you
like
can't not. You know,
they're a playoff team. They didn't make the playoffs this year, but they're a playoff team, and they will be next year, and the year after, and the year after. As long as Norvell stays there and keeps building what he's doing, Florida State's going to be in the playoffs every year. I mean, even if they don't go undefeated, yeah. Even if they lose one or two, there's possibility of 2-loss teams being in the playoffs now. So now we're going to have the big debates of all the 2-loss group around 10, 11, 12, 13, 14th ranked. So then we're going to have all these same conversations about all the 2-loss teams next year.
We'll get to the NFL where you can have 3 losses and still be good. It's like, look at the Falcons. They're 6 losses, and now they can still make it to the
I'm about to say they're tied for the division lead or something.
No,
just because the division's
I'm
so
ending
awful.
it. Maverick is ending the conversation on that right there. I'm sorry if you're not one of the top 12 teams. I'm sorry. It's just not a give you a participation award. 12 teams is enough. It should, if you want to have some debate, it should be the position of 12 and 13. I know there's a lot of transparency out there, but good Lord, guys, come on. I mean, I know there's so many. I mean, good Lord. Well, it goes
it's like an NIT for football.
It's like having the top 30, as you said, the top 32 teams, as what y'all said. That'll be a Group A and a Group B of FBS, and then you have FCS below that. But so I mean, all the different levels.
Everybody else, they can play in the NIT tournament for football.
Yeah, I don't know.
Get some home games. Play the final somewhere. Just give kids something to do. Yeah, it's cute. Yeah, guys go play some football. It's fine. So yeah. Anyway, that's good stuff. That was a hell of a game Saturday. Never saw that coming after South Florida. Jeez, man. For that game, it was just like I don't know that anybody had very high hopes. For the
that was probably one of the most important games next to Texas that we had, though. As a learning lesson.
I agree. I'm frozen. I know. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They did.
I mean, all credit, man. That interview, that post-game interview with Marty Smith and Milroe, where he was tearing up, and he had to take a minute before he could answer the question. I thought that was fantastic journalism by Marty Smith, because he asked him a question, and Milroe was trying to answer, but he was crying. He couldn't gather himself to answer yet. And Marty Smith saw that moment and goes, ignore that question. He said, forget that question. He said, tell me where you are now. What is this emotion now? Get us there with you now. And totally pivoted mid-interview, mid-questioning in a live moment, totally pivoted and captured that real moment from Jalen where he finally gathered himself and then said, unleashed that great little speech he had, tears coming down his cheeks, But I thought that was a really cool moment for him. But I thought lost in that was Marty Smith seeing that and pivoting on the fly.
That's true. That is great journalism.
And saying, I'll agree with that too.
Forget that question. Tell Marty, us this emotion you're having now.
The way Marty, I've seen how he does his interviews. He does that quite a bit. I really do. I agree to that completely, wholeheartedly.
They posted that clip. He posted that clip on his Instagram, and I sent him a message and just told him that he'll probably never read it. He's got 100K plus followers or something, but so he'll never see it. But he may not even run his account. It may have somebody that does it. But anyway, I just felt compelled to send him a message and tell him I thought it was some of the best pivot I've seen, like in a moment where you see something happening and you're just like, okay, forget that question. Take us here with you. And kudos for Jalen, man, for being real.
I actually met him a couple years ago while working in Bryant-Denny. He's a very, very friendly guy. So maybe
I'm a big Marty Smith fan.
You might see it. Who knows? Maybe he does respond. So
who knows? But I was hoping one day he'd stumble across it or something. If he ever did, I wanted him to know that somebody appreciated that work he did.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so 12-1, off for a month before we hit Michigan. So not sure what we'll do in between there. We maybe take a week or so off and reconvene in a couple of weeks when we have something to talk about. So I'm sure the Steelers will still suck by then. Fonz, I don't know if you saw that game Sunday. That was a travesty of epic proportions.
I watched a half and then I just shut it off.
He said that was it.
I don't even like watching the NFL this year. I really don't. Different discussion for a different day, but I think the product's watered down. I think the quality of the teams this year just sucks. Even the big games with the really good teams suck.
Yeah.
But like
You're
I said,
not wrong.
Discussion for another day.
The officiating is terrible.
Have been awful?
I mean,
they always are. I feel like yes, they've been particularly bad.
Which games, Hunter?
The weekday games. It's only Sunday.
Monday and Thursday.
Sunday. I'm really just watching for fantasy. Just see
That's
where.
Really like I watch Steeler games for some reason, and then I watch a game here or there, or if like there's a Bama player going, I like if Miami's playing, I'll put them on because I like watching Tua, that kind of stuff. But I'm with Fonzie, man. It's the officiating is terrible. I mean, every game there's just egregiously missed calls where you're like, how are you getting paid what you're getting paid and missed that call? It was like the game yesterday, Packers Chiefs, that pass interference. It was just so obvious, no calls. And it's just like, man, it's not even, it could have gone either way. It was just egregious non-calls. And it's like, man, it's hard to watch. And everybody's hurt. Trevor Lawrence goes down last night. Burrow's already out. It's like a backup league now. All these backup quarterbacks are playing all these games. And it's just like, the Chiefs aren't even fun to watch. Mahomes is terrible. Kelsey's terrible this year. I got them both in fantasy. They're having the worst years of their career.
Kelsey,
right on cue.
Yeah, really dropping the ball.
Right on freaking cue. Like, it's just, I'm with you, Fonz.
It's rough.
It's a tough product this year.
I agree. Like, I mean,
Footballs are fun until they play good teams.
Well, to your point, Hunter, like, I really don't watch NFL because I have no interest in it. The only reason I watch it is for fantasy and to watch former Bama players. That's it. Yeah. And I'll counter off your point and say, yeah, it's been pretty rough watching any of the games that I have tuned in, at least for a little bit, just to see, this guy's playing. I'm like, is that where we're at? What's going on? Why is it this bad?
Yeah.
Why is the officiating this bad? Why is the play this bad? So I don't know.
There's too many teams, probably. Talent spread too thin. We're being honest. But
Jacksonville out.
Although
that was your first one to get out, not the Panthers.
Well, they'd be next, but
no, like the Steelers can't beat Jacksonville in the playoffs. So yes, I say get rid of Jacksonville. That's like Tomlin can't beat the Jags no matter what.
They have the season.
That's what we're basing it off of.
He lost to David Garrard and Blake Bortles. Tomlin has.
Blake Bortles?
Yes. Ben Roethlisberger threw for 500 something yards, and we scored 40 something points against the Jags in a playoff game against Blake Bortles, and we lost.
Blake Bortles. What did he play?
Most recent playoff embarrassments.
Where college? Didn't he play at something like
Central Florida?
UCF. I almost said Coastal Carolina, but that might as well be the same.
Carolina.
God bless America.
Anyway, boys, roll tide, guys. That was a great win Saturday. It's good to be back in the playoffs. The Alabama Invitational took a hiatus last year. In the last couple of years, last year, sorry, we took a hiatus, but we're back in the mix. Cruising for number 7.
Hey, Return of the King, baby. We are back.
Return of the King. Back. You're right.
Couldn't have picked a better game to send off the CBS deal, too.
Oh, that was so awesome.
It's true.
Yeah.
We ended several dynasties that night. And
I know.
And then that fake story about Danielson at ABC, that wasn't funny. Rick's friend, wasn't funny. Y'all can't be screwing with us like that, man. That was some bull jive, but it's cool. I'm glad it was fluff.
Which means, Gary, enjoy your Big Ten games.
I texted my cousin they're all Penn State fans up there, and I was like, have fun next year. Enjoy your game of the week, buddy. You can have him. So anyway, roll Tide to the end of CBS, roll Tide to the end of Georgia, roll Tide to being back in the playoffs, roll Tide to busting Michigan up and getting our rematch with Texas, because
it's coming.
Texas, do not screw it up by losing to Washington, you softies. Don't screw it up. Beat Washington, and we'll take care of Michigan, and then we'll settle it for a ring. And we can stop hearing about week 2.
Agreed.
That's what's going to happen. That's
Roll Tide to own Atlanta.
Bingo.
Bryant-Denny East.
Yes.
Yeah,
bingo.
there you go. That's good.
Roll Tide to my podcasting buddies. Roll Tide for the group text that you guys love during games. Just imagine if I was drinking during these games. Golly, you'd have to turn your phone off.
You were sober?
Believe it or not. Oh. All right. Well, gentlemen, we'll discuss and when to reconvene and catch up again. So enjoyed it. Looking forward to the bowl games, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Roll Tide.
Roll Tide.
Remember to like and subscribe.
And we're back.
And we're back.